So now we are going to inaugurate our third batch of Executive Diploma in Cost and Management Accounting for engineers. So first of all, apologize for a bit delay of this first a third batch of this session by 1 month due to many other reasons. So we are starting from today, that is 16th of July 2022. So earlier we had 2 batches. We had completed this Executive Diploma in Cost and Management Accounting for engineers. This was launched in the year 2018 by the hands of the then Finance Minister, Arun Jaitley. And it was by the instruction of the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. We started this course as because, you know, this type of cost and management accounting course for the engineers, exclusively for the engineers, is nowhere in India. It is not available in any organizations, any institutions in India. As we observed that Ministry also have seen that engineers, they are having their own expertise in their own field of study, maybe electrical engineering, civil engineering, mechanical engineering, or other fields of engineering. But to become a strategic leader of any organization, the strategic head of any organization, you need to have knowledge in this cost and management accounting field. As we have seen, the top leaders, MDs, CMDs, strategic heads of any organizations are mostly maybe cost accountant, chartered accountants, MBA finance, like that. Okay. So in order to minimize the gap between becoming a strategic leader and a mere engineer, we have devised this course to bridge the gap between that. This is a 100-hour course, and it is spread over with in 6 months. After that, we'll have an assessment, thorough assessment on each paper. Assessment will be in MCQ format, but it is online examinations nowadays. And students and participants, they can do their give their examinations from their home also, but it is obviously proctor based, so that that sanctity, proper sanctity of the examination assessment can be done. So we have already given, there are 4 modules of this for this Executive Diploma program: financial and cost accounting, then contract management, economic laws and company law, then financial institutions, markets and project management, then strategic cost and financial management, and indirect taxation. And each and every paper is of 100 marks. We want to navigate through all the strategic issues, strategic decision-making issues that has not yet been touched at your engineering classes, engineering sessions. So that will be dealing here one by one. And for each module, we'll be allotting at least 25 hours. That means 25 hours into 4 modules, that is 100 hours course. And because you are all mostly from the industry, you are working in some organizations. So we'll be trying to conduct these sessions in Saturdays and Sundays, that is on the weekends, so that you can be able to pursue this course in a hassle-free way. And after the course is over, within 7 to 10 days, all the classes are recorded and that will be uploaded in your LMS portal. The study materials will be slowly uploaded in the LMS portal that you can view, that you can read. Apart from that, all the faculty members, they will be providing you their own assignments, their own teaching notes in PDF files and PPTs, so that you can make yourself prepare for the examinations and to enhance your knowledge level. So earlier we are having 5 modules for this course, this Executive Diploma in Cost and Management Accounting for engineers. But now, after several discussions with the industry leaders and our professors, we have reduced 5 modules to 4 modules, so that it will be very much useful for you and time saving. And presently, we are having all the 5 modules course material in soft copies that will be providing you, so that you will be getting exactly these 4 modules very shortly. We are in the process of developing that modules. So anyway, Today, we are having with us an eminent faculty, Professor Poritos Basu. Professor Poritos Basu is with us. He is a digital evangelist with 34 years of corporate experience, majorly in finance, accounting, reporting, strategic planning, risk management, and IT enablement. His last two corporate positions were that of the Global Group Controller and CFO of two large MNCs of India. Presently, he is a Senior Director of Strategy Consulting Private Limited, completed on 30th June 2022, 9 years engagement as a Senior Professor and Chairperson MBA Law of NMIMS University School of Business Management, Mumbai. He is regarded as a scholarly academician. In 2021, he was conferred with Fellow of All India Management Association in 2021 in recognition of his achievements and contributions in the field of professional management. Awarded Lifetime Achievement Award by Triscon Global in 2016. He is also a life member of Computer Society of India. He is engaged in several research, consulting, and digital brand influencing activities. His present areas of research include Industry 4.0, digital transformation, blockchain, and CBDC. Dr. Basu is an avid management educator, trainer, and mentor. He has chaired 4 World Blockchain and AI Summits held in Moscow, Dubai, and India. He has delivered keynote speeches and lead panel discussion sessions in more than 100 national and international summits, conferences, seminars, and webinars. He has authored a book on digital transformation, many research papers, columns, management case studies, blogs, etc. He has authored case studies jointly with professors of IIM and one foreign university, which are available from Harvard Publication and IB Publishing. He is sought after speaker and passionately shares the concepts with both novices and experts. He is a member of our institute, the Institute of Cost Accountants of India. He is a fellow member of this institute. He is a fellow member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, apart from having his PhD degree and MCom from Calcutta University. So now we'll be inviting Professor Basu. It's a guest lecture today. Now onwards, next from tomorrow and onwards, the subject expert, they'll be teaching you. But Professor Basu has given us assurance whenever he'll be getting some opportunity, we'll be addressing you in between. So that his vast experience of around 45 to 50 years of experience in industry and academia, that can be made useful for your journey towards Executive Diploma in Management Accounting for engineers. So now I would like to hand over the microphone to Professor Basu for deliberation up to 12 minutes. Sir, please, and last 10 to 15. Now your all the microphones are intentionally been stopped because there should not be any noise in between its classes, in between his sessions. Last 10 to 15 minutes, it will be open for all. Then you can ask him questions, and you can ask in between also through chat also. He will be going through this chat, and if there is any relevant thing, he will be answering and he will be delivering on this issue. So Professor Basu, it is now your
Thank you so much, Dr. Nandy. Thank you for your kind words. And I'm indeed privileged, particularly keeping in view the fact that I am sitting in the institute's premises, and then I am delivering this talk, and that too professionals from industry, which is definitely a huge privilege for me. And the subject which I've chosen for talking to you is decision management, the universal driver for value creation. Now, can you see my slide? Is it visible?
It is visible, sir.
Okay. Okay. Since you people are from industry and have some experience of working, I will touch upon certain points very, very quickly, because I think समझदारों को इशारा ही काफी होता है. If you have any question on that area, I will definitely answer, but not all slides I'll cover all points, and not all points I'll cover in details. I'll also tell some stories which I prefer to talk when it's a management education. And I'm sure Dr. Nandy will arrange to share my presentation and video with you. If you feel, if you think of that you have a lot of questions, you kindly feel free to connect with me through LinkedIn. I have more than 15,000, more than 17,500 LinkedIn connections. You can connect me through Twitter also. And I have my own personal YouTube channel where you can also connect with me. And the issue would be that when you connect with me, of course, you have to follow me. Otherwise, you will not be able to connect with me. Okay. Now, coming to today's discussion, I'll try to revisit the decision management as a theoretical aspects, and then I'll take you through the guiding principles and building blocks for value creation. Essentially, you have chosen this particular program because you want to create more values for the organization. You have to achieve at excellence, and that's why my value creation would be my thrust area. Then I'll move you to strategic decision management, because essentially decision management has to be strategic from the perspective of either a short-term strategy or a long-term strategy. In that, I'll cover some of the areas which are listed here, and then go to decision variables and tools for evaluation. Time permitting, I'll also do 1 or 2 slide talking regarding decision management in a digitally transformed environment. Now, coming to the topic straight away, decision management is nothing but 2 things to work with. Either you respond to a crisis situation or threat, or you respond to an opportunity. While responding, you do 2 tasks. One is analyze your options with the help of information to take an informed judgment, and decide about the goals which you want to achieve during the course of your actions in the context of either grabbing the opportunity or meeting the threat. But be careful about one very simple point, that doing what is right is not hard, but knowing what is right is hard, because many of the doing functions in the world today has been taken over by the computer, and also various analytical tools, statistics, etc., etc., etc. So knowing what is right is the most important thing, and my effort today would be to familiarize you with the word knowing what is right. And again, another very important point to be kept in mind, that what you have done today and felt very complacent that, okay, I've done an excellent job, so I'll have no problem. But believe me, there are people waiting with erasers in their hand to erase off your good doing, and you will be like any other competitor, and your differential advantages will go away. So the most important point is, if there is any situation, you make most of the environment, and particularly if there is any crisis, it is an opportunity to invest. So remain in a state of readiness. You have yourself chosen to do this course because you want to achieve a state of readiness, right? And that is where the question comes in. How do I achieve that state of readiness? And when you focus on these 100 hours of talking points by your learned faculty members, please keep one thing in mind, that how do I create value for the organization and value for myself to run across the organizational hierarchy and remain in search of excellence. So what I said, that in decision, you take 2 decisions. One is what should be the objective of my decision, and what should be the course of actions, how do I execute it, and the situation in front of you are your opportunities and threat. So what are the 10 commandments of decision making? First, you define the objective, which I was just telling you, then define the problem. Then the third point is very important, which is defining your external and internal realities. When you define your external and internal realities, at times we forget that we take big decisions, but we are not in a position to execute. Either the internal environment is not supporting us, or the external environment, we could not understand and appreciate that properly. So studying the environment is very important. Develop your alternative courses of actions. And when you develop your alternative courses and actions, your information, data, which must be relevant and required for decision making. If you do not take any informed judgment, most probably that you will be making a mistake. You will be throwing a stone in the dark. So critically define your consideration and constraints, annual limiting factors. All these you will study in your program. Select the appropriate decision-making tool. Here, the point is simple. You can use a fishbone method of decision-making. You can make a decision tree method of decision-making. You can use artificial intelligence and machine learning-oriented inferences drawn. So if you are dealing with huge data, obviously you have to deal with the data analytics. If you are dealing with unstructured data like documentations, then you have to definitely work with unstructured data analytics, etc. Finally, no decision is a decision unless executed, and no decision can be executed without resource requirement and understanding. So visualize what is the quantum of resource you will require. Then you understand one thing, whether you are going to execute the decision in a certain environment or in an uncertain environment, particularly in today's context. Immediately after the pandemic of this century, we have the Ukraine crisis. And Ukraine crisis has shattered the economy of the entire world, including India, when oil price has just come down below $100, but definitely it crossed $100. So challenge is always there, and it will continue to be there. So my suggestion to you would be that whether you should be prepared for your decision making under both uncertain and certain situation, and after complete understanding of what are your decision alternatives and what are the importance, and think of whether you need creativity and innovation. I will come to the innovation sometime if I talk to you later. Creativity and innovation is a subject by itself. I'll talk to you later. Finally, you evaluate the alternatives and take the decision. When you evaluate the alternatives, sometimes people say, "Man, मैं जो सोचता हूँ वही सही है." नहीं. If you have $1 and if I have $1 and if we exchange, we have $1 each. I'm using the word dollar because it appeals to us much. Otherwise, it should be INR. But if I have one idea and if you have one idea and we exchange, we have two ideas each. Obviously, I'm not talking about democracy in decision making. Obviously, decision making will be supported by the juniors, and final decision will be either collective wisdom or a single person wisdom. Idea is not that of this slide. The idea of this slide is try to understand the viewpoints of others, so that if you have the more viewpoints, you are in a position to take a more informed judgment, that you do not get confused with the several viewpoints. Please support the viewpoints, validate the viewpoints with data. That's very important. And the great axiom, it says that millions saw the apple falling, Newton asked why. So unless you challenge, validate each suggestion of each idea, even if it is of yourself, you will not be able to take a correct decision. So sustainable business performance continuously means generation of ideas. And generation of ideas also can be a method of generating ideas, innovation, out-of-box thinking. That should be also possible. Now, I'll tell you a story at this stage, a very quick story, because this class takes about 12 hours. But I'm going to finish it off in 1 hour's time. What is this story about? You can see a boy. He is in Nainital city. Last night, he has lost his cap, although he's nicely cladded on a December wintry evening. Wintry morning, not evening. Evening, he lost his cap. His cap is not there. Morning, they are going at around 9:30, walking towards the marketplace, and they have now reached the marketplace. His father asked somebody that where we can find a leather cap for him. So somebody said that you have to walk 10 minutes more because leather shops are ahead. They were walking through the eastern side of the road, and the boy naggingly requested both the parents, I want to go to the western side of the road. The parents tried to argue with him, tried to convince him, this side is also good. You can see the entire market, that side also good. So why do you want to go? Are you tired of walking? Would you like to come to my lab, etc., 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 etc.? So he said, no, I want to go. मदर बीइंग लिटिल इम्पेशेंट एक थप्पड़ लगा दिया बच्चे को, बच्चा रोया नहीं है, बोलता है नहीं नहीं मुझे वेस्टर्न साइड में ही जाना है. Why he is trying to go to the western side? He is trying to go to the western side. If it would have been a physical class, I would have interacted with you, but I am giving the answer. You must have thought about the answer. Why is he going to the western side? About 70 to 80% students or even executives fail to answer this question. Let me answer it. When they are walking through the eastern side of the road, the morning sun rays are being blocked by the walls of the small houses and the shops on the road. So he saw that on the western side, the sun rays are falling. So he wants to go to the western side because he wants to take the best benefit of the environment to warm himself up much more, because there is chilly winter is also blowing through. So when you, now if you bring this story to your business desk, there are situations at times that you need not spend any additional money. You need not bring any additional resources or manpower. Given the manpower, if you plan well and think well, you will be able to take the best advantage or unused portion of the environment in which you are operating, so that you can get a better result. This boy wanted to do the same thing. He wanted to go to the western side to warm himself up by using the sun rays. Management life, you should remember this story, that when you go to office, think of what best I can do. Have I used all the resources to the brim of it and got the best of the result before I ask for any additional resource from my bosses? So how do you do this? The most important thing I discuss about, and now I will gradually take you to your course. There are 4 R's of decision making and 7 C's of decision making, which you will be taking you to the value creation mode. The 4 R's are right task at the right time, with right process and for right value. So you have to define the task, you have to define the timeline, you have to define the process of doing the work, and for the right value. Dramatic improvements in systems and procedures, if you want to do, don't use the word dramatic. I'm using the word dramatic because I want a quantum leap in my systems and processes. So if I want a quantum leap in my systems and processes, first thing I need of the 7 C is quality. And it should be a differentiation of the quality of both product and services. Next is cost leadership, which I must achieve in the entire life cycle of my product or the services, because cost leadership only makes me a value leader, and value leader makes me a competitive advantage oriented operator in the marketplace. Next is volume. Quality and cost is of no use unless there is a volume. So your competitive advantage remains as long as you are a first mover with a new product, but be careful about that. Your volume will be eaten away by the other, because this is a very competitive market. Then comes the relationship both with your internal customers and external customers. Many of you may not be facing market directly. What you are delivering, it must be the input for your internal officials who will take it to the market-oriented place and work for it, like your data analytics, etc., or receivables management. So be careful about satisfying both your internal and external customer. Speed, not to speak of, speed is important both in the context of taking decision and responding to market and your supply chain values. Flexibility in today's organization, when I was talking about decision management in a certain and uncertain situation, the uncertainty of the world is increasing day by day. So definitely flexibility has to be kept in your system. And environment, society, and governance, ESG score, that is also very, very important. But let me tell you one thing, that I am talking about 4 R's and 7 C's. Who are doing this job? These jobs are being done by people. Leaders at times forget that people, if I pay him salary, he will only do the job. No, answer is incentivization is also important. Incentivization does not generally mean, unnaturally mean, that you have to pay in terms of money. A little appreciation, recognition, a reward, or giving him a best performer badge or declaring through your monthly management letter that he is the best performer. Those are also means of incentivization. Now, the program you are starting, that program is going to show you the left box. Anything which can be managed must have to be measured. Measurement of any value is important, because both in terms of both quantity and value, measurement is important, because measurement helps you to control, and you have to put everything in a particular framework. I'll show you what is the framework I'm talking about. So 4 R's of decision making, 7 C's of decision making, and discrete modeling of your performance with incentivization system and measurement of value. Now, in this area, Dr. Basu can be challenged in many ways. कि डॉक्टर बासु आप तो ज्ञान दे रहे हैं, आप बहुत कुछ बोल रहे हो, बट मेरी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के अंदर तो ये सब नहीं होता है. You have to be the change agent, and if you have to be the change agent, you have to have 10 commandments of changing your environment. First thing, you make the decision maker aware. Either you are the decision maker or you are a support system for the decision making. Make him aware what can go wrong. That's the most important thing. Second thing is that be aware of organizational realities. जिसको हिंदी में बोलते हैं अपनी औकात को तो समझो. Means that in the organization, if there are gaps and holes, please quickly solve those. When you solve those, don't solve with quick fix solution, because quick fix solution does not yield permanent result. Solve it with a long-term permanent solution. That's your second point. Next point is prophesize for the long run with collective decision and wisdom. That's what I was talking about. Exchange ideas and first prophesize for the future. You are not here to be a fly-by-night player. You are going to be a long-term player. So definitely think for the future. Every performance which you are going to plan, every decision you are going to plan, please pre-assess the risk and take action in such a manner that your way of executing the decision by itself is reasonable. I give an example. When you are trying to sell more in the market, customers may be asking for higher credit period. When you are giving higher credit period, you can't get randomly higher credit period and to each and every customer. You have to do a credit risk analysis for every customer before you extend them 90 days credit or 30 days credit or 60 days credit. That is what is called risk-enabled management. Every decision has to be risk-oriented, and no risk, no gain. That should be also taken into consideration. Treat for every single data as an information, and every data is a strategic asset. I need not superpower or overpower this point, because data is the digital gold now in this world. Next is executive summaries. We take decision by taking the executive summary page of the document. If you go to a board meeting or a meeting and read the executive summary without going for the details, I'm sure you will make mistakes. Your boss may afford to do it because he's got a lot of wisdom to understand what is there in the details, but not at your level, at the junior level. Even boss should not also do it. Be dispassionate about what is to be dropped and ring fencing the talent. If you feel that something is lagging, pulling me behind, please be dispassionate to cut it off. Yet at the same time, please also understand who is your talent. Ring fence him. Do not ignore small operations, products, and wastage, because at times small operations and spoilages and wastage can give you, particularly recycling of wastages is very, very important in today's environment. Next is ensure all hurdles in executing the decision taken are predicted, defined, and preempted. That is, this point is connected with point number 4, risk-enabled management. So unless you do not try to at least make an effort to understand that going forward, what are the hurdles I may meet in the way while executing the decision, and then be ready with that defined problem, then maybe in the mid course of your executing the decision, you will be failing. And of course, You must understand what are the long-term vision, mission, and values of the organization. So it is not ownership which will put you into driver's seat. It is sustained value generation skill. That's why you may see that lots of businessmen, people, they are sending their children to foreign schools these days, or even Indian B schools, and getting them treated. That's why MBA in entrepreneurship management has become a very popular program in India. So what is very important point from the perspective of this particular slide? What is your take home from this slide? Your take home from this slide is environment is changing. What are the 10 commandments I should keep in mind so that my decisions taken are mostly towards right than wrong? Now, next, let me switch to, after having understood the decision, what is decision and why decisions are important in the context of business management. Let me take you through the strategic decision making, because that is also, that is the level where you will be soon going to, where you will take strategic decision level, which are generally unstructured and not routine decisions. So how do you take strategic decision making? Remember the famous business philosopher. You have heard about religious and spiritual philosopher. I'm giving you a business philosopher's talking point, Jim Rohn of US. He says you don't get paid for the hour, you get paid for the value you bring to the hour. So be very careful when you leave at the end of a day your office desk. Hopefully you should not carry the office to home. But even if you carry, please be careful to assess one thing on a daily basis. What is my productivity today? How much value I have added today, or how much work I have done today to ensure that the value of my work is finally achieved. That's very, very important. And remember this, gentlemen, when you take strategic decision, strategy without tactics is a slow path to uncertain success. And tactics without strategy is the noise before the defeat. So if you have only execution capability and tactics and you do not have the strategy, it will be a noise before the defeat. And if you have only the strategy without knowing what will be your executing methodology, you will be going for an uncertain success. So this gentleman, who lived in this world about 2,600 years before, 544 to 496 96 BC, he is a army strategist. Please remember him. So let me give you another story, very interesting story. You might have heard about it. What is strategy, you will understand. You can see two people, they are hugging each other. They are the two CEOs of the same product group of two different companies. They operate from the same city. When they operate, they cut their throat every day so that his business is successful. And when Saturday comes and Sunday comes, they go to golf club with their wife and they are good friends. So Monday to Friday, they are enemies, and Friday to Saturday and Sunday, they are good friends. So one day, CEO A told CEO B, hi guy, we are so happy on Saturdays and Sundays and unhappy on Monday to Friday. Let us do something. How can we stop this problem? So and let us do something so that we both will do business properly. So what they did, they hired a jeep and wanted to go to a forest resort and put themselves locked in a place and think of. So they didn't take their wife also. And they stuffed their suitcase and put it in the jeep. But to the surprise of CEO B, CEO B saw that CEO A is carrying a small bag with him in his shoulder, and the rest of the things are in suitcase. The CEO B said, why are you carrying this bag? He said, this is my habit, don't worry about it. So they are reaching about 4 or 5 kilometers before the resort to be reached. They heard that the wolf is roaring. And huge wolf is, they can make out that the wolf is rushing towards them. COB quickly saw that COA is opening his bag, and two things came out from the bag: one running sneaker, and that is sports shoe, and two socks, one pair of socks. Quickly, he was wearing these socks and the sneaker. COB told COA, do you think that by wearing sneakers and socks, he will be able to run ahead of the bull? The answer came from COA, I don't want to run ahead of the bull. I only want to run ahead of you so that the bull can eat you up and be happy and I can move ahead. So you have understood from the story, the moral of the story is that whatever you do in a competitive environment, you cannot be enemies of your competitors. Yet at the same time, you should be having a differential strategy to score over your competitors, and that differential strategy should give you competitive advantage. So how do you gain competitive advantage? The first thing you gain competitive advantage is through your financial management, which you will be learning very soon. This financial management is a very disciplined process because it has got a lot of regulations and standards, which helps you to develop your competitive moves, which helps you to align your resources with your goals. Because at times we see that resources की कोई कमी नहीं है, but goal achieve नहीं हो पाते हैं. So that's the alignment necessary, and shedding of outmoded ideas and management tools. Because you are taking an informed judgment, financial management is helping you to appreciate what is the outmoded mode of doing it, executing. Legacies are to be taken out if those legacies are no longer competitively applicable in future. So that's what financial management helps you by providing you financial data of the past, present, analysis, and then predict what is going to happen in future. It helps you to go for a competitive moves which you can take. And when you does, it demands imperatives of external environment. That means when you generate financial data, you learn financial management because you have to not only generate data from your own internal organization, but also assess the published reports, balance sheet, and financial numbers of your competitors, so that you can understand your mapped position vis-a-vis your competitor. You can map yourself in terms of strength and capability of your competitor. That financial management helps you to do. Then comes the objective setting. Introspection of internal realities with rage analysis. Rage analysis is something which you will not get in book. It is my creation. That it says that what is your requirement to execute a strategic decision, what is it available with you, what is the gap, and in terms of prioritization of filling the gap, what is essential. So financial management helps you to do rage analysis. It helps you to plan and sensitize all, because today's world, nobody is interested in lecture. People are interested in numbers validated with analysis of not only your internal data, but also your competitors' data. When you do evaluate your monitoring procedures of impacts from decision, you need to again go for financial management data creation. And then comes the entrepreneurship risk management. Risk management gives you a way of creating alternative options and do an analysis. Here I will request Dr. Nandy to also give you a study of COSO and COBIT analysis. So strategic financial management is the process of dealing with the emerging realities. Guys, you must be thinking that Dr. Basu is rushing through his slides. Answer is yes. You are business executives. That's why I feel that if I touch a point, you will be able to reflect upon it when you look at my slides and further look at my videos, and then correlate it with your daily working point. After financial management comes the cost management, how it can help. Now you can see, or you might have experienced in your organization, people talk about cost cutting. I completely disagree and disrespect this word cost cutting. I call it strategic cost management. How you do strategic cost management? Please read the center blue, sky blue circle. Certain questions are to be answered. What is the question? Have we reacted with the knee-jerk mode? Yeah, profit kam ho gaya, kal se ye kharcha band. That is called knee-jerk mode. Have we identified strategic drivers of cost, activity-based costing, which you will be studying? Which are the drivers which guzzles the cost? Have we analyzed to incur cost in the form of nice, essential, and must? When we have resource shortage, we must have must. We must do must. Then we do essential, and then we do nice. I give the example of a washroom for this, which will feel better. In a washroom, paper napkins are nice to have. Soap is essential to have, but water is must have. If you corroborate this theory of nice, essential, must in your day-to-day business management, you'll be able to definitely make strategic cost management. Next comes optimized cost management process. Like the boy who was doing it, you remember that Nainital boy story. Without incurring cost, you can optimize the existing cost incurred to generate value. Next is check scalability of plans. You have spent that I'll be producing 100 units an hour or 100 units a day. You could achieve only 80 units or 70 units. That means your decisions when it was taken, it was not taken properly in terms of scalability assessment. So try and see if you have unutilized capacity, whether you can make it further scale high. Next is, have we assessed organizational realities and capabilities? You don't have capability, you don't have understanding of what you know and what you don't know. You start doing something. Obviously, you will fall behind unless you recruit some talents or consultants. And finally, all these things will be done by people, so you have to incentivize people also. So what is your job? Your job is to co-create business strategy. And business strategy in the context of what? Scale. So when you do strategic cost management, you also focus on a couple of things, which are my blueprint on the right-hand side. Scale, geography, dependency, key activities, experience, technology, and complexity. Scale and geography, you also all know. Dependency means if your work, your achievement is dependent upon some of the internal divisions or some of the external vendors and service providers activity, you must always understand that are you depending on the right guy who will not let you down? Have you understood the key activities? Which are the activities which are major? Do an MVC analysis of your activity and focus on the A and B category first. Bring in experience of perceived value at each step. I was talking about the ideas. Ideas helps you to understand the perceived evidence. Next is technology. Human intervention brings you delay. Human intervention brings you cost. Human intervention brings you error and lackadaisical attitude. As much as possible, bring in technology. It doesn't necessarily mean you will reduce people, but it necessarily means that you will be freeing some people who can do higher end job after training and development. Finally, complexity. Everything will have a complex. In today's world, nothing is simple. So what is the framework? This is what the framework. And this you will not get in any book. This is my own creation from my experience. Read the framework from the bottom, which is we are discussing today. We are discussing management planning and control, which is an omnipresent activity, and that is why I have chosen the topic for the inaugural day. Next is management planning and control. Next is excellent decision management and execution. Control doesn't stop, plan doesn't stop. You have to go for decision management and execution. Decision management is you will be responding to either a threat or an opportunity by taking two decisions. What is the goal from this decision and what is the process by which I will execute the decision. And then you will also do learning point analysis. That means in the past, if I have faced such a situation, the decision I took, why I went wrong or why I had a success. So use the learning points of past to future. Next is improve business performance management with a 360-degree approach. As I was telling you, don't leave the small things, don't leave the waste and spoilage. Have a complete approach, because if you take the Pareto's principle of 80-20, if you leave 20% unmanaged, that can pull you back. Now, if you do these 3 jobs, what you get? You get profit and profitability, you get quality of products, liquidity and governance. Liquidity means cash, which you generate to profit, risk-enabled performance management, and you get satisfied human capital, because I told you, continuously incentivize people not only by giving money or variable pay, but also by recognizing their efforts or promoting them with a higher responsibility. In this process, what happens? Stakeholders' relationship experience improves, your product brand image improves, your current 4P management, people, planet, product, and profit management improves, your shareholders' wealth creation improves. Your investors, through share capital and loan capital, they are happy. The moment you go do this, what do? Your business in the long run starts growing. Like startup to unicorn to unicorn, it is MSME to medium scale to large scale organization. And finally, when you achieve a critical mass, become a public limited company with share capital, what Adanis are doing, you go for orbital jump to mega MNC or transnational corporation. So this is what is essentially the framework of yours should be, the bottom of which is management planning and control. When you do management planning and control, you can adopt 2 methodology of planning. One is the SMART methodology and one is the FAST methodology. In SMART methodology, you talk about specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely targets. Specific target, measurable target. I said what is measured, cannot be controlled. Measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. That is what the old method of taking strategic decision. Come to the FAST method of taking decision. FAST is what? Goals should be embedded in frequent discussions. That means we should always keep in mind what is our goal. Next is ambitious. Goals should always be little ambitious. Aspirational goal. You cannot say that I will have a Hindu rate of growth of 7% or 10%. That doesn't make sense for a professional manager like you. Goal should be specific. This word is common on the left-hand side model, SMART model. And finally, goal should be transparent. Unless you communicate your goals, if the goals remain within the realms of the board of directors or the CXOs and do not share with the others who doesn't know, and you are always maintaining a hush-hush management theory, nothing to happen. So transparency is very, very important. Now, the word timely and transparency goes together, because you believe your people, you transparently tell him that this is the plan, this is the execution methodology, this is the resource, and this is the timeline. Just about it. Finish. I was telling you this again. I'm going to explain to you through this methodology, is that if you want to earn profit, doesn't mean that you have to always maximize profit. If you minimize the value destruction, that is the dark blue circle, if you minimize the value destruction, then you can also generate profit, not only value creation. So what is important is, in the context of value creation, remember Charles Brian Dyson of Coca-Cola, he said that value has a value if its value is valued. I repeat, on your left-hand side, it is there. Value has a value. Sorry, my digital pen is not working. Its battery seems to have gone down. That's why I'm not in a position to take you through my screens with using a digital pen. So value has a value only if its value is valued. That's important. And on the right-hand side is Dr. Paritosh Basu's creation, pre-assess impacts of seeds in the womb of time. If you continue to react to the present and not think of and make yourself ready in the future, you will not be able to grow. So what is there in the womb of time that you must create? Remember, the both these things together, womb of time also can minimize your value, right? If there is a risk coming up that is in the womb of time, which will unfold itself few months later, if you do not look at it today and take action, it will create a value destruction. But if you proactively work in it, you can minimize that value destruction. That's fundamentally very, very important. And when you take a decision using both your left brain and right brain. When you use your right brain, what do you see? You see the value context, ethical context, and principles context. As you know, many people say that this business house doesn't have any ethics. I don't want to talk about those business houses, but certain business houses are comparatively less ethical than certain other business houses. So ethics is very important. Value generation need not be spoken, and principles. So when you get this slide, you can reflect it on much better. And actions and frameworks, which I was talking to you right now. So what is important is your strategy. That is the name of our firm, consulting firm, wherefrom we provide consulting with the strategy. What is strategy means? Strategy means ability to frame and execute agile strategy. So what is agile strategy? Agile strategy is that strategy which is contemporary, which takes into consideration dynamically the future problems and future prospects. So innovation, collaboration, ethics, compassion, and shared values. I repeat, innovation, collaboration, ethics, compassion, and shared values. These are the qualities, if you as a business manager have, you can have a lot of agility. Now, guys, you must be thinking that Dr. Basu is running like the 100-meter sprint. Answer is yes. I'm doing that. My idea of this session is to create more question in your mind than answering it. And if you are a true student, you are now playing two roles. Saturday and Sunday, playing the role of a student, and Monday to Friday, you are a business executive. So apply my thoughts and say that, Dr. Vasu, we promise that whatever you have just touched upon, we'll see in detail, going to books and blogs and LinkedIn. And if I do not understand, I'll connect with him because he had got 17,500 connection. So let me add one more to it through LinkedIn. And whenever I find any problem, I'll ask him the question through LinkedIn only. No problem. You are most welcome, sir. Next is another principle, which is 8W and 1H principle, which I generally talk about, and you won't find in any book of the country or in the overseas countries. This is my creation. Guys, I'll talk for another 15 minutes. After that, I will open for discussion. I'll see how much I can cover in this. Now, here is the decision you are taking about introduction of a new product. Now, I told you as many questions you raise, that much clarity you get. So I'm raising 9 questions with 8 W's and 1 H. What are those 9 questions? I don't want to elucidate them at all. You will be able to understand. First is, what products and or service at what cost, for what purpose, and what time? You remember I gave you the 4R principle. This is what it is. What products and or services and what cost, for what purpose, and what time. If you replace the what by right, you will get the 4R principle. Next is why competitive, strategic, and first mover advantage are being considered. You should always think that today I have 80% of the market share because I am a first mover. Don't think of that and bask on that glory. Next is when. When should new activities be started, existing to be scaled up, and older ones to be divested? That is what the timeline. You are starting new, scaling up the existing, and divesting the dead product. That is the when part. Next, where should the next 3 milestones be positioned for strategy formulation and planning? Unless you think ahead and keep your strategy ready, if you react to only reactive basis, if you take decision, you will fall behind. So be proactive and try and understand next 3 milestone. Who should be the business partners and stakeholders? Everything if you want to do for yourself, you will not be able to do. It will be expensive. So try and understand who should be your business partner. Which are the primary goals aligned with vision, mission, and 4P bottom line? Your organization has a vision, has a mission, and you have also the ESG problem. That is 4P bottom line. Which are the primary goals? So your objectives are to be aligned with your vision, mission. Next W is whom. Whom should the monitoring and controlling responsibilities be assigned with? Unless you have a controller and monitor guy, you will not be able to do. That's why large companies have a group controller. I used to control 247 companies of SR Group in their heydays, whom I lived in 2013, where 20 countries to 47 companies. I used to spend my half time in Mauritius and half in India, because Mauritius was our global headquarters in terms of financial accounting and strategy formulation. So I used to go there every time. So point I'm trying to make is that you have to have a controller of everything. Next is whether policies and SOPs are updated. Let me remind you, the controller doesn't mean that he has to be a troublemaker. He has to be a troubleshooter and he has to be a solution provider. That's what is his role. The last W is whether policies and SOPs are updated and digitally transformed. So in today's world, and that is my new area of research, since 2016, for last 6 years, I'm on digital transformation. And I've written 35 articles and a book on digital transformation. So, and the book is now available for buying from the Institute's website. So you can buy and read it. So digital transformation is very, very important. Digital transformation should not be a lipstick strategy. That we also do digital, so we call it lipstick strategy. It should not be a destination strategy. That means we have reached a particular point with digital transformation, so we should not do anything more about that. No, it should be a journey. And the last question is, how do we enhance and build on our strength and ensure sustainability with a risk-based approach? So you are introducing a new product does not necessarily mean that that will live on and keep on giving success. You have to build on your strength and you have to ensure your sustainability with a risk-based approach. So the solution after doing this course, you will be able to equip yourself to the extent that you can remove the suboptimalities in the process of strategic planning and execution, which I'm reading from the bottom blue ribbon. So suboptimalities removal is very, very important. Many of you might have seen launching of a product by your existing organization. At that time, they might have forgotten the existing product. So this 8WH principle will help you to decide. Vision, mission, I don't want to explain because this slide will take me minimum 30 minutes to talk about. We must think of what do we want to be 10 to 20 years from now. Values are what are important to us. Mission is why do we exist. So one thing important is that in the vision and mission statement versus the individual implementers' objectives, that is the employee objectives, vis-a-vis the balanced scorecard and strategic initiative, there will always be challenge between the seniors and the juniors of your organization. Your role should be alignment of the same. Unless you align, the boardroom will go to boardroom's direction and employee at the field level will go to their direction. The organization will be pulled from two sides and it will break. So that is where the point comes in, which is called organizational setting, information provision, and information use. And comes the balanced scorecard. While you set the balanced scorecard, that means the target for individual employees and the group, you must think of the customer perspective. You must think of the internal perspective. I'm reading from the down below 4 circles. You should be thinking of a financial perspective and learning perspective. Learning perspective here means learning from the past. So a customer perspective is price, quality, and speed of delivery. Internal perspective is operating efficiency and brand image. Financial perspective is, of course, profit, profitability, and cash liquidity management. And finally, learning perspective is perspective with sustainability. So this is what is important. Your course will help you to do this. I will not touch this slide because this slide will take me some time. You can reflect upon it. Essentially, what I have spoken earlier is put down in a clustered form here. Next important is creating the measurement managed organization. It is a William Shainman's theory. I have given you the link here. Down below, the link is available. You can use this link and read the entire concept. It is a very long article, so I don't want to talk about it here. I impress upon you and fervently request you, please study this. It will help you. I'll just, in this slide, tell you the first 2 points. You are engineers, so you understand mathematics much better than me. What is the calculation or theorem, simple mathematical calculation for value creation? Utility divided by cost. That means the utility of the product or service divided by cost. To a customer perspective, it should be more than 1. So if utility is more than cost, you are successful. Therefore, if cost has to be reduced and utility has to be increased, the theory reduced down to maximize utility and minimize cost. And minimization of cost is what is we are talking about and which we talked about. So minimize value destruction, understand static driver, remove the suboptimalities, process cross-functional data, be transparent, work innovatively and collaboratively, and develop superior capability. Okay. When you do all this, again, you can ask yourself certain questions when you take a decision. What are my choices? Am I creative in thinking about alternatives? What I know, do I have the useful information about the past and prediction for the future is there with me? Am I having a sound reasoning? That means, am I thinking about all the dimensions of the issue I'm dealing with? Next things, will I really take action? How much committed I am to my work and how much committed I am to my decision so that I'm in a position to execute. What is that I'm deciding, which will help me to create framework? I showed you that Excel sheet-based framework which I created. You'd see whether right from the planning to your idea to become an international multinational corporation, are you moving towards that direction? Because bun bun se samundar banta hai. Many drops make the ocean. And finally, clear values. Your brand image, your value system, your ethics, that is what is going to help you to do this. I give you another story very quickly because I have 5 more minutes to leave this open. I love storytelling. This ship was stuck 100 nautical miles ahead of the port where it was supposed to be berthed. 3 days it was stuck. A lot of engineers tried in the ship. Nobody could start the ship. So one of the junior engineers said that the city where we are going, the city port where we are going, there is a very old engineer. I believe he can be called. So somebody was sent by the boat to the city to fetch that engineer. The engineer came. He is an old man of 70 years, moved around the ship from top deck to the bottom where the engine is located. After spending 15 minutes for this movement, he came down and he moved around the engine for 5-10 minutes. He was only carrying a small toolbox about 2 feet by 1 feet. So he took out just one hammer from the toolbox and just hammered the engine's particular place 3 times and the engine started. Everybody was very cheerful and said 3 cheers for so-and-so. You've done our job and we are so happy about it. And what we could not do in 3 days, you could do it only in 15 minutes. So thank you so much. And the captain of the ship asked to send him a bill. When they when they went into the berth and reached the port, the bill came, and the bill was $10,000. And in those days, the story is about 50 years old. In those days, $10,000 is a big number. So the captain of the ship was extremely upset. He asked why he wants so much of money, because he has spent only 15 minutes and only made 3 hammer shots. Then the bill was sent again in details, and it writes, tapping with hammer that is actually executing the job is $2. Knowing where to tap the ship is $9,998. That's what I'm talking to you about. That doing things right is not a problem, but knowing what is right is a problem. You must know where to tap the point. You must know what is to be done to value maximization and what is to be done for and minimization of value destruction. That's what is important. And be careful about it. Some people will say, okay, I don't understand what is vision and mission. So I want something simpler in terms of narrating what is vision and mission. And that's why I'm bringing this for you, which is called purpose. दो तीन चीजें हम लोग, we ask a simple question, ये काम करेंगे मतलब क्या है? What do I gain out of it? इस मेरे से कोई लेना देना नहीं है. If you convert all these things into one English word, which is called purpose. So purpose is not a lever which you can build. Purpose is something which you can realize. Purpose exerts its power as a deeply held commitment. If you are convinced that there is an objective for both you and the organization in it, it will enhance your commitment. Purpose helps establishing the distinct identity of the organization with shared values. That means Tata Group will not take any decision which will go against their brand image. So keeping their corporate brand and product brand at high esteem is their purpose, which is essentially their value system and their vision and mission. Purpose changes the way the people operate. Because if you are convinced that आपको इससे कुछ मतलब है, then your operating style will change towards success. Easy to appreciate across the hierarchy. Very simple way you can communicate, because communication is very important. Purpose helps you to understand the VUCAFU dimension. VUCAFU means vulnerability, uncertainty, complexity, ambiguity, and F means fear of unknown, and U means unprecedented. This F and U has been added after pandemic. So if you know what is the purpose, then it will help you to navigate through the VUCAFU world. And finally, it will help you to analyze in this VUCAFU world, because if you are purposeful and if you are in a position to predict foreseeable future through the VUCAFU process, you will be able to purposefully decide your strategic decision also. So keep the word purpose in your mind. जिसको हिंदी में मतलब बोलते हैं, मेरे से क्या मतलब है? What is the purpose of it in me? And what is the purpose for me in this? And what is the purpose of doing this for the organization? The purpose for doing this for the organization is this particular slide. Now, if you go to the x-axis, it is percentage of turnover, and if you go to the y-axis, it is percentage of return. Now, whenever you take a strategic decision, your purpose is that with 10% change in turnover, you should have at least 12% change in return. Otherwise, what is the purpose? That means your incremental turnover should be lower than your incremental return, or your incremental return should be higher than your incremental turnover. So conduct the trend analysis, map the present position, that means whether you are in zone B, and fix the strategic intent and initiate the action. So when you do this, think of one thing, that your decision is not only benefit your own company, then it will be a parasite. It should benefit the society and the company. Thus, you should have a win-win situation for everything. You can see and reflect on this slide when you get this. And finally, what I was talking to you in my 8WH principle is, if you can be a player who is always thinking of the unexplored area, that means you want to always create new products and services so that you are always with your competitive advantages and blue ocean, then you will be able to sustain and grow. Because if you have today a unique strength which is known to you and not known to your competitor, it will be no time, within 1 or 2 years time, your competitors will know what is your unique strength and they will be able to repeat it and copy it. Similarly, if your competitor knows something and which you do not know, your job will be to first know that, and finally you have to always move to the unexplored area. Otherwise you will not be able to sustain in this world. So I will I don't have time again. Almost I have covered everything except the psychological part of decision making. I will talk a little later some other day with you. You can think of one is the 6 C's of decision making. There are so many eggs and there is only one chicken or hen coming out of it. So whenever anything result comes out of your decision, find it whether it is a chicken or an hen. If it is hen, then it will give you future resources and future profit. And if it is chicken, a hatchery grower will will grow it only for selling mutton few days after. So every result which you get, you should analyze it. And unless you analyze, you will be able to maximize on that and make it a beneficial point for future. And when you take a decision and when the decision fails, and you must do a root cause analysis of failure. And in that root cause analysis, you should not be blaming each other. I will extend this talk by 5 minutes. Blaming doesn't help anybody. So to address this mistake, we must use root cause analysis. And immediately she is or he is saying, I will begin by saying it is not my fault. ये होना नहीं चाहिए. And that is why I have said that do a purposeful analysis. Blaming each other will not help. You can apply the fishbone technique, which is a very common technique, and do not suffer from any traps in your decision making. Do not operate with the bonded rationality I was talking about. Executive summary should not be used up, and you should not take a decision because you want it that way. That is called the want self versus should self. You should always look for what should be done in the context of the organization, in the context of people associated and the stakeholders, whether you are rational, cognitive, thoughtful, cool-headed, emotionally intelligent, and you should weave ethical values into it. I talked about all these things. These are essentially theories which I thought whatever I have talked about, I will corroborate with theories. I'll find some time to talk to you in some other day. Corporate governance is also very, very important. And people will tell you what is corporate governance. Time permitting, I would have told you, because in ESG analysis, you will always learn about business practices and ethics, legal and regulatory boundaries, disclosure and transparency, and risk-enabled performance management. So risk intelligence is very important for an organization in the context of corporate governance. And finally, these are your decision tools which you'll be studying. Decision making in a digital environment, I'll leave this for some other day. And now your questions. Please, your questions, please. Can somebody help me to read out from the chat box? Guys, I hope the 1 hour or 15 minutes which you have spent with me, is it purposeful? Is it having a contribution towards your vision and mission? 1 or 2 comments before I start taking question. Why not Uttam Kumar Sinha? Why not you give your comments? Mr. Sinha, your comments, please. REPM is risk management. NVS Arun Prakash. REPM is Risk Enabled Performance Management. I will request you to study the COSO report of 2018. You will get more about it. Okay, microphones may please be unmuted. May I request the organizer kindly unmute the microphones, please. Please unmute the microphones. Sujit Babu, please unmute the microphones of them. Meantime, you can put your questions in the chat box, please. Please unmute the microphone of the participants.
Yes, it is done.
Yeah. Ranjit Panse, your first hand comment about this session, Ranjit.
Yeah, it was a good session. So especially for someone like me, so I am a director of our family business, which is a medium scale company. So I can relate quite a lot to what you have just said. I can extend my comment.
You can open your video also, Ranjit.
Yeah, no, video is still blocked.
Okay.
So just one question to extend my comment, that you have mentioned a very valid point of controlling the, like having a monitoring and controlling function. So since we have multiple plants in India, normally controlling becomes a challenge. So rather than getting only a monthly MIS, how can the controlling pillar be more strengthened, especially around costs arising from the shop floor? Because we are in manufacturing, B2B manufacturing. So our entire game is, around shop floor efficiency. So how can the controlling pillar be strengthened, especially in our scenario of manufacturing?
Okay, Showman Mandal has asked about what is suboptimality. Optimality means what? Let me tell you. Suppose you have a plant which you have set for 100 tons per day, and that is the nameplate capacity of the plant. And to the best of the ability, your managers could run it at 95% average capacity utilization throughout the year. So when the ideal standard is 100 tons per day, you are producing 95 tons per day, which is your optimal position, though the nameplate capacity is 100. Now, if you run the plant at 70% or 75%, what essentially you are achieving? Suboptimality, right? So, and suboptimality when in volume is there, obviously it will affect all types of cost, and cost will be suboptimals, right? Okay. Yes. Yeah, I have answered all those. Okay. Risk-enabled performance management is also very, very important from the perspective of a manager like you, because unless and until in this Bukafu world, unless and until you are risk-enabled, you are not going to achieve anything. Any question next, please? We have 5 more minutes to go. 5 more minutes to go, please. Questions, please. Please unlock their microphone. Tathagato, if you have any question, you can ask me. Why don't you unlock their microphone? Please unlock their microphone. Please unlock microphones.
Sir, already unlocked, sir.
Okay. You have to unlock yourself also from your own computer. So,
hello, sir. This is Samudan connecting from Chennai. Do you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much for this lecture, sir. In fact, it is very useful, and I'm really happy. Okay, because we are connected virtually, and initially I have this skeptical thought in my mind whether how can I can connect with the people who is delivering the lecture. But really good. My one quick question is, because I'm working in a purchase related domain, not 100% purchase as a part of the NPD, and I'm taking the responsibility of doing a commercial negotiation with suppliers. So this is zero based costing or activity based costing. So I think it will be the part of the syllabus what you are going to cover up in the next sessions, right?
Both zero based and activity based both will come. Zero based means as if you have not done the production or any costing activity in the past. You will assess everything without having any legacy data in front of you. Start from quantity of material, price of material, take a market quotation, use labor, how much labor is needed, what is the productivity we could achieve. That is zero based. That means invent everything for the first time as if you have no knowledge about the past. And coming to activity-based costing, don't get into elements of cost first. Get into the drivers of cost. That means the maintenance cost of a machine doesn't depend upon how many times it breaks down. Does depend upon three type things: regular maintenance, preventive maintenance, and breakdown maintenance. So essentially, if you are trying to assess breakdown maintenance cost and buying spare parts for that you cannot do. But you can, breakdown cannot be predicted, but breakdown can be reduced by preventive maintenance and routine maintenance. So the point I'm talking about, zero-based costing and zero-based budgeting and activity-based costing. In activity-based costing, like when you are a procurement guy, so what you can think of is, which we call guide price concept. Even before getting the quotation from the party, you can think of that what could be the possible cost of producing this product. Either you can do your own research from the marketplace, or you can yourself study if you have any engineer available in your organization who has worked in that industry. So point I'm trying to make is activity-based costing is essentially to understand first what are the activities to generate a particular product and a service, or do a particular work. And from those activities, you then quantify the activity input. And after quantification of the activity input, you then price it. Like if you say that all maintenance cost, all production overhead, I will allocate based on the labor hours worked, you will be ending up taking wrong decisions about pricing, unless and until you understand what are the drivers of cost and accordingly price it and appropriately allocate it. So you will learn it in a great way and detailed way in your course. Could I explain to you, Amutan?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is clear. I will wait for the further session, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Any other question? We have 1 more minute.
Sir, it started with me, sir. I was not able to speak to you.
Yes, please carry on.
My question is, sir, your lecture was a nice one, but it was too fast for me, at least.
Obviously.
I wasn't able to grasp it that.
Any inaugural lecture would be planting more question in your mind than explaining those questions, because you have 100 hours to go for getting explanation to those questions.
Yeah, so that is why I'm asking, can I get the copy of this lecture so that I can
Obviously,
read it?
you will get it. You will get it. You will get both my copy of the presentation and also you will get the video.
Thank you so much. Thanks.
Any other question? Is there any standing digital solution to link change management impact while selecting cost drivers? Yes, there are solutions available for this. Yes, Anbiyas Arun Prakash, your question is there any standing digital solutions to link change management impact while selecting cost drivers? Yes, plenty. Even without applying artificial intelligence, if you have an ERP system like SAP or Oracle Financial, if you articulate and collate the data and bring it down to Excel with a period-based accuracy and element-based accuracy, you will be able to analyze this impact between your legacy systems-based decision versus activity-based costing system decision, analytically allocated and attributed for each driver. You can design a solution. In fact, these days I provide consulting activities in a big way. If this can be done within your given system, without even applying artificial intelligence, we can do. But if the data is very huge and there are multiple variables available into a cost issue, then perhaps you can take the help of either regression analysis or other statistical tools. If that is also not sufficient, then effectively you have to go for artificial intelligence. Could I explain, Arun? Yes, any other question, please? Sir, to assimilate further and implement it practically, please share the PPT. Yes, Sanjay, PPT will be shared. The session is very helpful and useful to be applied in work environment for professional personal development. Thank you, Dr. Sir. Okay, thank you so much. Tathagata Laha, being an engineer empower of power plant posted in operations department, how can we benefit from this course? Oh yes, if you are even in a power plant, see, when you go through this course, Tathagata, you will be able to understand that, some of the tools or methods when you will study, you will try and understand, no, मैंने तो ऐसा देखा नहीं है. Suppose the fuel efficiency or plant load factor analysis, you must be doing in your own. You must be having a legacy system for calculating various efficiency units or cost allocation between various departments or functional areas, or between, suppose you have two power plants and common costs are there, you must maybe allocating on some basis. The more you go through this course, you will get new ways of analyzing cost, new ways of analyzing revenue, new ways of correlating cost with drivers of cost, new ways of allocating cost to activities, and new ways of deciding your purpose and objective. That will help you, Tathagata. Let me tell you one thing. From hospital, that is cradle to crematorium, that I mean from your birth to end of an organization, and from cradle to crematorium of a human being, you have to spend money, you have to spend resources, and time is also your own resource. It doesn't mean that time is also not a resource which you spend, and you pay for your time to yourself. So your new way of thinking will open your ideas, and if you are little agile, which I was talking about, strategy, ability to create agile strategy, you will definitely be able to reap the benefit of this course. Yes, Tathagata. Could I answer? So, Shujit, do you think that we should close the session? We are not getting any more question. My personal request to you that you connect with me. I have a YouTube channel also of my own. You go to YouTube and type Dr. Praditosh Basu, you'll get my channel. So learning resources will be there, and you can remain connected with me through LinkedIn. In future, if you need any help, you can just put a message to me in LinkedIn. That will help you. Thank you very much indeed. And I'm so happy to interact with you and happy to work with you. And thanks to Institute. I'm sitting in Institute's office only and delivering. So it is my alma mater. I passed ICWA, the then ICWA, in 1978. So I am a cost accountant for now 44 years. But I've kept myself updated and tried to keep myself updated so that I can talk to the managers of, after 40 years of my qualification, if I have to talk to managers of today, I have to essentially keep myself updated. And that is what was my effort for this course, for this. Thank you so much. Shujit, you can please close the session.